right here is the typical example of why men have a love-hate relationship with the church.
Some of you men, you don't know how to be men in your house. Be tired of your wife controlling you. If your wife controls you, you are a useless man. Men, don't let your wife control you. What you say must happen. That's why women were told to submit. You can't have your wife tell you everything you must do is your wife that is telling you. For what? Sit down there. We are not going anywhere. And she must sit down. If she doesn't, you send her back. Let her go to her mother's house and cool down. I need to straighten up some things this year. Some of you men are allowing your wife to control you. Do you understand what head means? I am the head right now. As this church is, Jesus is the head. Physically, he has made me the head. And every decision that must happen in this church must go through my approval.
They love what the church do for them. And by do for them, the position they put the women in their lives. And then they also hate the position that the church puts them, they themselves. So you would see a man who actually hates the church, but he does not have a problem with his wife going to the church. I've said this before, and this is the reason, right? Back then, when our forefathers used to attend Orthodox church, and Orthodox churches were the in thing, men never had a problem with religion. They do not have a problem with a woman going to church at all. It became a problem in the Pentecostal movement, and this is the reason.
Do you understand what head means? I am the head right now. As this church is, Jesus is the head. Physically, he has made me the head. And every decision that must happen in this church must go through my approval.
Men do not have a problem. I say this all the time. People think men are resentful of the church because of tithes and offering. Men do not have a problem giving tithes and offering in churches. I'm telling you. A man would give everything to a church gathering if only the church will honor the fact that he gave something, and they will worship him, and they will reverence him, and they will be overly appreciative of him and recognize him and give him some form of power within the church. Men love that. Men's transaction with their money, right? A man is never stingy. He would exchange his money, but he will only do that so he can gain power and loyalty. Those are the two things that men exchange money for. So a man does not have a problem giving anybody money as long as it places him in some form of authority over you. Then he's okay with giving you money. Now, the problem that men started having with the church is when men would give their money in church, they would bring their presence sometimes in church. But yet, a preacher comes out to say things like this, that he is the pastor of that church and every other person in the church is subject to him. That is what men don't want to hear. So this first part of this video is men love it, and it is for that reason they love marrying religious women and they love that their wives go to church. Then the other end of the video is the reason why they hate church, and if at all they want church, it would definitely be Orthodox. They hate Pentecostal movement because Pentecostal pastors place themselves superior to men, and that is what men don't like. Men understand that they hate to be subservient. They know that subservience is abuse actually. So, but because if they can hold it onto women's head that women need to be submissive, they need something else to hate pastors for, which the next best thing is to say, I give you my money, you are trying to steal from me and all that, because they know that everybody places more relevance on finances, right, or on money. I'm telling you, if these pastors stop saying things like, if these pastors preach only the things that men like to hear, men will not have a problem giving tithes and offering. They will gladly do so. If these men come into the church and are given position of authority, they are not being abused in church and things like that. A lot of people who left the church, they have one abuse. When you say a man leaving the church, he has one abuse story or the other that happened in church that made him leave. So I'm telling you. And then, so many of you were sending me this video and some were tagging me to it. I don't know what you want me to say. I've said what my take is on abuse. And honestly, messages like this does not trigger me, to be honest. Because people like this, I don't even find so dangerous, okay? We discuss this with Ola all the time. These men are not as dangerous as the ones who actually tell you that, oh, submission does not necessarily mean abuse. It doesn't mean dominance. It means partnership. That person telling you that is more dangerous than this one, because this one is very outright with what he believes. So it's either you take it or you leave it. And from seeing him, you already know that, okay, this is not somebody you want to associate with. So it's easy for a woman to leave his church, okay? But the ones who actually sell it out for you as though it is not subservience, whereas it is actually subservience. If you believe in submission, this is exactly what submission means. So this guy is not wrong. Biblically speaking, this guy is not wrong. In whatever sense of submission, this guy is not wrong. So the person who is actually telling you that submission is not subservience is the person who is actually wrong. And that person is even more dangerous than this person, because that person does not leave you with the option of making decision based on what the person's intention is. This person, you already know what his intentions are. You can leave. You don't have to be there. But for a person who, this is just like overt abuse and covert abuse. Covert abuse is always more dangerous than overt. I hope you guys understand this. So, and by the way, if this guy was not so focused on trying to subjugate his wife, maybe she could have told him to wear a better shoe on top of this kaftan than what he's wearing, because the kaftan is actually fine. The shoe just spoils his teeth.